Alright, we're talking about my PSG-1, a classy girl, not some bastardized JG custom G3 that's basically the equivalent of Courtney Love pre-rehab, or another stupid scoped M4. No, those are the fat country girls that use dip like toothpaste, while this rifle right here is more of a Audrey Hepburn. I'm not looking to outdo any LCTs or God forbid your daddy bought Crytax. I'm just here like an angry old man with ED, trying to prove to the world that his Tokyo Marui should always stay where it is as a legendary gun of Airsoft, right next to the Ares WA2000 and the UK Arms RPG. Glorious. I asked you sexual deviants what you wanted me to review next, and well, you didn't disappoint me. Today we're reviewing the Tokyo Marui PSG-1, thanks to my friend Byron, who sold me this scrumptious rifle back at D14's Winter Swap Meet. I won't say how much I spent on this rifle, because someone will probably attempt a public assassination on its previous owner if they found out just how little I spent on this thing. I still remember walking over to my little Ford Focus with this thing after I made the deal. People were just staring at me, asking if I'd like to trade my PSG-1 for a f***ing WE M1911. Just pulling out old shit from tubs and cases, guns with more rust on them than chest hair on Austin Powers. Needless to say, I didn't trade this gun. I protected it like I was some roided up Rottweiler, and well, here it is now, lying in a case upright when it should be held by a butler at all times. Now, this isn't exactly a gun that you take out to any American field in a serious manner as a stock gun. I mean, I still did it because, well, I'm an idiot, and besides people touching themselves at just the mere sight of my PSG-1, I got a lot of people asking why I would bring such a thing to a field. This thing is old in relation to all the common stuff that we have now. We have guns built as strong as McDonald's biscuits are dry, forgetting that some Tokyo Marui guns can sound like this. And yet, this old thing still gets more booty on the field than any HPA copy and paste M4. It's your job to determine if that booty is up to code or not. So anyway, let's get into where we always begin with the unboxing of a very mutilated box. This thing looks like it stole drugs from the cartel. Every H&K owned word has been ripped off this thing and turned inside out. We all know that Tokyo Marui couldn't give 2.5 shits about licensing trademarks, but the importer who sent this gun into the US sure did. They even fucked up the left side of the magwell to make sure that this thing was in the clear. So with my PSG-1 not gang affiliated anymore, thanks to his tattoos being etched off, I'll show you how this thing came when I got it. Manuals? Nope. What about BBs or a charger, a blue-eyes white supremacist dragon card? No, we don't have any of that here. We get the PSG-1 and a tool to adjust the stock, and that's it. I got this rifle secondhand if you can remember, and the owner before Byron just bought this rifle to place on his desk so he could admire it. I'm sure this rifle got more love than the photos of his kids did. I pretty much called dibs on this gun after I filmed it for my 250 Airsoft guns shooting compilation. And if you liked that video, then thank you. There's just a lovely mystique about the PSG-1 that not many guns have. It's like the SPOS 12. Even non-gun people know what it is. It's ludicrously expensive, about 16 pounds, collectible, and seen as a hero in real life. And with its presence in video games and movies, you got a popular gun that I've named Blackbird, by the way, because, well, the first thing that I can think about when I see this rifle is the SR-71 Blackbird. Now, this is definitely a long rifle at just a smidge over 48 inches or 4 feet long. It's actually so long that I don't have a case for it to properly fit in yet, so I just transport it around in its box like a real collector's item. I'm sure some uppity person in Japan with 15 of these for sale in his store is just laughing at me right now, but finding a stock PSG-1 in good condition isn't easy where I'm from. It's not heavy though, since the replica Hinsult scope, scope mounts, barrel, and some controls are metal, while everything else is made from plastic, like the pistol grip, all of the pistol grip, stock, upper and lower receiver, bolt, silent bolt closing device, and so on. So you're looking at a roughly 6-pound rifle. There was supposed to be a tool in the box when you first buy the PSG-1 that would help you unscrew the end of the outer barrel so you could add on an adapter for a tracer unit. But honestly, this thing is already long enough with its 590mm long inner barrel, and a tracer unit would look pretty dumb on a rifle like this anyway. Moving down the huge outer barrel, we get a slightly textured handguard, but with sweaty hands, you have nothing to really grab on, so be warned. Underneath, we have the T-rail for the PSG-1's proprietary bipod and aftermarket sling points that can be had. I'll tell you now, Even though the rear sling loop on the stock seems sturdy, I wouldn't add on a sling. I just don't think that this rifle would hold up, telling by how much it creaks. I personally wouldn't trust it. I have a saying for this rifle: it'll reach out to wherever the barrel is pointed towards. Keep that in mind. Now, skipping over to the iconic stock that you've seen ripped off by a lot of other companies, we have a rather solid and multi-adjustable setup going on here. You'll need this tool to make these adjustments, especially if you want to get into the battery compartment in the stock. I like to keep the screw holding the thick rubber butt pad slightly loose, just so you can manually turn the pad to make getting into here easier. I thought it was pretty funny seeing an 11.1 LiPo in here when I first got this rifle. Let me express that you should be using lower powered batteries like 7.4 LiPos or just normal NMHD batteries. This rifle isn't exactly built for the highest voltage. Or don't listen to me, hook a car battery up to it, fuck it. With the adjustable cheek rest, butt pad extension, and relative comfort that the stock gives to the user, anyone can understand why I like full stocked guns so much. And this stock is definitely one of the greatest in my collection. Then we have the receivers, controls, and functions that's topped off with a Tasco 4x40 scope made to look like the 6x42 Hensoldt scope that the real PSG-1 would be assembled with. Despite the normal dials here and there, this scope is pretty basic. The dial that would illuminate the very basic reticle that's identical to the real PSG-1 crosshair doesn't actually work, and I assume that after a while, the scope mount will begin to wobble side to side like mine. You could, in a sense, mod the upper receiver so you can get rid of this mount and scope so you can add on a more common G3 mount, but as for myself, I'll leave this beautiful rifle the way it is after I get the correct tripod and bipod. Then moving downward, we can cover the second of the three major defining traits of the PSG-1, the plastic silent bolt closing device. To make this short and sweet, like taking a shit and not having to wipe afterwards, it's only here for looks. But skipping out on this would have been a major flaw that I wouldn't have been able to gloss over, much like how the MSG-90 silent bolt closing device is absent on the classic Army model. Then finally, for the lower receiver, the large and adjustable but plastic pistol grip just seals the deal for this rifle. This is yet another part that is imitated but never looks quite right on anything else but a PSG-1 or at least a standard G3. The grip is slightly grooved for right-handed shooters, but if you're a lefty, you'll still be able to use this legend with ease. Altogether, this grip is still very comfortable. However, you can adjust this bottom collar with the screw to separate the two halves. This kind of personalization can also be found on the trigger thanks to this rubber shoe on the metal trigger. The real PSG-1 was built like the finest car. It's pretty much the BBC of Airsoft, okay? So even minor things like this are what makes this sniper rifle what it is. Found close by, the simple controls consist of a large metal 2-position left side selector switch and a metal right side magazine release that most people won't be able to reach while keeping a firm grip on the pistol grip. This button will partially release your magazine before you'll need to manually remove it from the mag well. Here I have the PSG-1 standard short magazine that comes included with the Tokyo Marui. It's a metal 15-round low-cap magazine with an extended follower to ensure every last BB is fed into the rifle. It's quite a lovely magazine to have for the PSG-1, but if need be, then any standard G3 magazine should fit into this rifle like the LCT magazines. I just can't ensure that it will always feed properly with every pull of the trigger. Furthermore, if you do insert a magazine into the rifle and don't preload the first round by charging this rifle, which in turn pulls back the mainspring, then you'll blank fire when you pull the trigger, meaning this charging handle is actually somewhat important for this airsoft gun. I will tell you right now that I will not be HK slapping this charging handle, nor do I plan to ever do that. I don't think such a thing would be wise for a rifle of this age and construction. Just charging this rifle normally, you can hear the reason why my girlfriend calls this rifle Old Creaky Bones. Then to finish things up, the Tokyo Marui PSG-1 features a spring detensioner switch in the trigger guard that can be activated by pushing the switch towards the end of the barrel. This will extend the life of your main spring and is just an overall healthy thing to do for your gun, especially electronic blowback rifles like this one. Despite my hate for EBB guns, this one gets a slight pass. I guess I'm biased for my PSG-1. Go ahead and hate me, I don't care. Now, while doing this review, I've really seen just how much detail that Tokyo Marui put into this rifle, from how the numbers are painted on the scope, how every screw is placed or molded if they aren't really needed for an airsoft replica. Everything was thought about and taken into consideration with this rifle. I could only find one mess up with the lack of numbered positions inside the T-rail for the bipod. I really would have enjoyed having the trademarks instead of these f***ing gouges on the side of my gun, but I guess I'll just have to shove a pencil up my ass and get over it. At the range, I made sure to use .25 gram BBs to make good use of the rotary hop-up dial that slightly clicks from position to position. At 150 feet and a maxed out hop-up, you'll get shots pretty slow, but they chug along for the most part. I can tell that .20 gram BBs would have been much better for my rifle, but with a slight wind, I was still able to make 150 foot shots. Then at the range, I got what I imagined, really low readings of 200 feet per second. And since there's no full auto on this rifle, I don't have to do a rate of fire test, which makes this review easier to wrap up. In conclusion, for a rifle that was built before 2008, the Tokyo Marui H&K PSG-1 still entices so many people, mostly for the fact that this is a freaking PSG-1. The G3 rifle is already rare as it is to see on the field, so bringing something like this to an airsoft field is like bringing an R34 GTR to an R35 meetup. But is this practical for today's airsoft scene? No, not at all. For a $500 plus rifle, this would be trashed by everyone but the most diehard collectors with deep pockets. The trigger isn't the fastest, the windup is slow, it's huge, it creaks a lot, the split version 4 gearbox calls for a lot of proprietary parts that were discontinued before 2010, and so on. Even if the range was complete crap and it was all over the place in accuracy and the FPS readings were as consistent as fans' dedication to Battle Royale games, this would still be a beloved rifle. Until the day a company like LCT tickles our pickles with their own PSG-1 replica, the Tokyo Marui, with all its creaks and limitations, will stay in its rightful place as a dream gun. I may never play with this gun in a game again, but for once, I'm alright with that. Not many airsoft guns can do this, and not many will do it again. I hope you enjoyed this special review of one of my favorite airsoft guns. A lot of people requested this one, and I hope I made you all proud. And if not, well, you should shove your sexual organs in a pencil sharpener, I don't care. Big shoutouts go to these past sexy commenters for being as sexy as they always are. Every piece of support helps this hellhole of a channel. Also, I want to thank It's Dubs for being the largest donator for USAirsoft to date. I appreciate everything that anyone donates, and I'll be sure to thank you all individually whenever I can. I can continue on and on how fast we broke 140,000 subscribers after the last video went up, but you already know how awesome things have been lately. Anyways though, until that next video drops from the city of San Antonio, this has been Scott Holmbeck, and I will be sure to see you all next time.